What's going on, everybody? Today we're doing a coolant drain and fill on my 2015 Yamaha FJ09. Now it's a pretty simple job because Yamaha provides a drain bolt and the coolant overflow reservoir is very accessible, and you'll need to take off one piece of plastic to get to the radiator fill point. What antifreeze am I using? You're probably thinking. Well, I'm going to be using some Prestone concentrate that I'll be mixing with some distilled water and water wetter. You might be thinking, Calvin, that's not Yamalube Yamaha certified products. And you'd be right, this is not Yamaha coolant. But what does it say in the manual? It says the recommended antifreeze is a high-quality ethylene glycol antifreeze containing corrosion inhibitors for aluminum engines. Simple. The mixing ratio should be 1:1. The radiator and cooling system with all its roots takes 1.93 liters, and the reservoir takes 0.25 liters. So this should do just fine. It even says on the back you can mix it with other colors. It's safe to mix with other colors. But we won't be mixing much because there will be very little left in the cooling system by the time we're filling it up. Also, if you don't know, always use distilled water. Don't use tap water. There's no contention on that. Water wetter is kind of like soap, if you didn't know. It reduces the surface tension of the coolant/water that's in your system and enables it to disperse heat better out the radiator. So I've always seen lower temps with water wetter. You only add a small amount. It can't hurt anything. It's great to add. I personally like using it. Now with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Before you start any coolant change, always make sure your bike is cool to the touch. You should be able to put your hand on the radiator or radiator cap for a good 10-15 seconds without it hurting even the slightest. Or you can check your coolant temp on your dash, and as soon as it's like below 40 degrees, you're good. Last safety note is that coolant is toxic, so don't leave it out on your driveway for other animals or people to drink up. Let's go. To get to the radiator cap, we just have to get behind this plastic. There's 3 4mm Allens that hold it on, and then we'll just pull away, slide down, and you got it off. Now with the side plastic off, we got access to our radiator cap. There's this one little 8mm that holds on and retains the cap so it doesn't loosen itself somehow. To drain the coolant, Yamaha provides a drain bolt on the bottom of your water pump. It's this bolt right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the bike on its side stand so it's leaning to the left where the drain bolt is, get my drain bucket and drain it out. And then once it's draining, I'll open the radiator cap so it doesn't spill out the top. It's a 5mm for the drain bolt on the water pump. Nice. Oh, we already got coolant spurting out. All right. Keep note, there's a copper crush washer on this bolt. You don't want to lose it in the coolant. There we go. Now, none's really coming out because we got to open the radiator cap. Yo! Hey, would you look at that? It's green, just like the stuff I'm putting back in it. We're going to let this drain. When it's all done dribbling out, maybe we'll take a hose off, make sure we get it all. So I'm going to go for this hose right here off the lower side of the radiator because it seems to go just a little bit lower than the drain plug. So it's just a Phillips to get the screw clamp off the hose. Oh yeah, we got a little more there. Really doesn't need to be very tight, just a little If you over tighten this, you can really bow out the hose, and that's not good. You can just deform it. It's bad. All right, now to remove the coolant overflow reservoir and cover, which is this black thing here. You got 2 bolts, one's a 5mm, one's a 3mm Allen. Just get in there, get them loose. There's this stupid plastic insert on the back. Okay, we got it. I had to shove my finger in around behind the coolant reservoir because it feels like it threads into some plastic insert, kind of like a plastic riv nut, but the riv nut or whatever the plastic insert is was spinning with the bolt. That's why it was making that squeaking sound. Ah, yes. Take note of your coolant route. You know, it comes out through the hole in front of this and down. All right, now we're just gonna drain out this coolant without disconnecting it entirely from the bike. Save that mess. There we go. All right, so we got a little mixing station here. I'm gonna go ahead and mix up about half a liter for the first bit. All right, so this should take 250 mil. I think we'll leave it there for now. We'll get this reinstalled on the bike, and then we'll top it up with a little more if we need to. With your reservoir reattached, make sure you put this little plastic piece back around the neck of the coolant reservoir. It basically just protects it from heat by the looks of it. You just clip it on like that, and it kind of gives a plastic shield on this side so the header doesn't warm up your coolant bottle. Now it's time to reinstall your drain bolt. Make sure your copper crush washer is on there and it's in decent shape. Don't have any gunk between the head of the flange of the bolt and your crush washer. Also make sure this surface is clean. This bolt is torqued to 7.2 foot-pounds, or good and tight. So now with the bike still on its side stand, so we have an easier angle to fill the radiator, it's helpful to have a funnel. It should take about 1.95 liters. If you hear anything leaking out at this point, stop, go and investigate. Now we've got the coolant sitting right at the top of the radiator. I'm just going to squeeze the lower radiator hose and see if we can burp out any bubbles. The system bleeds itself pretty well, so it's not too much of a worry about having big air pockets. It's not like a car's cooling system where it's so long and doesn't have big differences in height like a bike does. Now what I like to do is I like to turn the bike on with the cap off for just a little bit so that we can see if the water pump pushes out any bubbles, and right as it's starting to get some temperature, I turn the bike off. Alright, we got the bike up to about 59 degrees Celsius. Gonna get our radiator cap on. Take this little 8mm with the radiator cap locking component and thread it in. So with the bike up on its center stand, the last thing I'm going to do before I put the plastics on and let it come up to full operating temp for a little bit of a ride is check the fluid level. It has to be up at the full line. Basically, if you have any air pockets in your system, as the bike cools down after its first ride, it's going to draw coolant out of the reservoir and into the radiator to fill that air pocket. So ensure you have it at least at the full so that the bike has coolant available to it to suck up if it does find an air pocket. It can be really hard to see where the water level is inside this reservoir, so I shine a flashlight up here onto the clear plastic so it kind of illuminates the inside of the bottle, making it easier to see where the fluid level is. Now with the bike all put back together, it's time to take it for a ride. Take it for a short ride where you get the bike up to temperature around over 70 degrees Celsius, because I believe that's the temperature the thermostat opens at. But take it for a short ride, let it cool off real cool, and then check your overflow reservoir. If you find it's way low, you gotta top it up and you've sucked up an air bubble. Other than that, if the fluid level in your reservoir doesn't change after your ride and you've let it cool all the way down, you're good to go. And that's a wrap on the coolant drain and fill in my 2015 Yamaha FJ09. If you have a question, drop a comment down below. I do my best to answer them all. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a good day.